Trigger warning. This episode contains references to suicide and self-harm, which some individuals may find distressing. Hey guys, my name is Brittany Ransom, and I'm the host of the Apprentice Podcast, a podcast all about amplifying Black inspiration. Over here, we're all about Black entrepreneurs, Black artists, Black ideas, and creating a platform for that. I already know that I'm going to be inspired by all these conversations because of how raw and open they are, but I thought, why not put a platform for that so that others can be inspired by the Black voice? I'm so grateful to have you as a listener, and I can't wait to see where this podcast takes us. So don't stop here. Go ahead and follow us on Instagram at Apprentice_pod or subscribe to the YouTube channel at the Apprentice Podcast all the way through. Awesome. Thank you all, and hope you enjoyed this brand new episode of Season 1 of the Apprentice Podcast. So, tell me your name, tell me his name, and tell me, why you chose here, and what is this place?
So, my name is Daphne, and, I'm Arthur Daphne Jackson, but this is my son, Joylin, and usually he wouldn't be here. I didn't know that this place they moved it, and it had a cafe, so he's going to be our special guest, and he's going to be eating in a cart.
No, we love to see it. We love to see it.
I'm looking for a devotional for women.
Looking for devotional?
Yeah, a devotional for women. I usually, when I'm in my creative space, because I'm back, I had writer's block. It really wasn't writer's block. It just was I had so much going on. I couldn't just sit down and write. Mm-hmm. So when I get into that space, I like to read devotionals because I really like to read books. But when I'm writing, I just read short devotionals and stuff. Okay. To get me inspired.
Do you usually read in the morning? Is it a morning time thing, or is it kind of
the mornings?
Okay. Start off your day right?
Yep. U-O-U. That's a good name. U-O-U.
Okay. And do you spiritual journals, or do you just self-help, personal growth journals, or?
I like spiritual, personal help, self-care, all of it.
Okay. Perfect.
Self-help.
Oh, nice. I guess, is there one by a specific author, or you just kind of be going?
I just be browsing. You know, it's Women's History Month.
So. Oh, yes, it is.
Yeah, so it's got to be, and for me personally, I do want it to be Black. I'm big on Black authors, because I am one.
As it should. Well, awesome. Well, tell me a little bit about yourself, where you're from. Are you originally from Huntsville, about your family?
I'm actually from Atlanta, Georgia. My whole entire family is in Atlanta, Georgia. I came here in 2018 for graduate school. I'm a social worker by profession. So I came here in 2016. I graduated in 2018, and then I did move back home. And then I found out I was expecting, so I came back.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, and I've been here ever since.
Oh, dang. Yeah.
It's just me, him, and his father, and the friends that I make, but no more family.
More family?
Yeah.
Are they all in Atlanta?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. What was that like moving back and be okay, this is going to be the permanent spot?
You know, honestly, before I had my son, I never really felt connected like that. You know how some people when they go off to college, it's I don't want to go off to college and leave my family, or the family's you should stay here. I didn't have that because I didn't really see it as it was really, college was an escape for number one, away from the family. So, after I left for, graduate school, I was really felt like an adult finally, because I really didn't feel really adultish.
Yeah.
So when I moved back here, it was really it's my norm. If I didn't have a kid, I probably would be in another country somewhere.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So I'm one of those people who free spirit, I will move anywhere.
Oh,
I feel connected to my son. That's what keeps me grounded, to stay somewhere. But if it wasn't for him, girl, please.
Okay.
Yeah, get a postcard.
Oh, well, please not a postcard. Is that still the plan, to travel one day, maybe with your son or with?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
To travel the world with my son, that's literally the life for me.
Yeah.
Honestly. He went to the Bahamas for the first time for Christmas.
Really?
Yeah, because he's actually Bahamian American. His dad is from the Bahamas, so that was his first international trip as well as mine.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Dang, I'm trying to get like that. Get out of here. Oh my
See
God.
what that life is about, huh?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It says how to survive your murder. Oh.
And did you travel a lot when you were younger, or this is something that just kind of came as you've grown up?
No, I did not travel a lot at all when I was younger. I traveled a lot when I was in college, though.
Okay.
And so that was just like everything that I always wanted to travel. And I read, so I travel in books.
Okay,
You know
wow.
what they say, like
Yeah.
if you want to go to a lot of places, you can read a book because you're everywhere in a book. So once I went to college and I traveled, it was up from there. I learned to drive there. I got my license, so I was road tripping,
Oh, wow.
flying. I was in the car, so I, went to fly places. So, yeah.
So you got your license in college?
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. Snap.
Yeah.
Why wasn't it? Oh, I guess why was it? I guess typically you get your license at 16, and did you get it at 18 or?
I was like over 21 probably.
21? Oh,
yeah.
snap,
And that's
yeah.
because I grew up like impoverished, at risk youth. We don't grow up like that. Like I still have friends, and I'm almost 30, who don't even have their driver's license, who never owned a car, who, from back home, my childhood friends.
Yeah.
So for me, it was just like, I probably would have never, got it for real if I didn't go to college. But I mean, now when I look at, like, even my mom and my family, we have grown as people.
Yeah.
But yeah, like we wasn't raised like that.
Okay.
Like it was more like on survival. So, I learned to catch the bus, but a car was like out of my reach.
Okay.
So.
Can you tell me a little bit more, I guess, about that growing up? And you said, yeah.
Okay, so I grew up in a single parent household with my mom. It was mom had 5 kids, but it was 3 of us who grew up in a home together. I'm the middle child, and it was just really, I didn't grow up like, compared to my peers, I wasn't the most impoverished. Like my mom had a way of making like the ghetto like very nice. Like all of our homes were super nice.
Yeah.
And she prided on being very clean, and she's awesome with the interior design and things like that. So it was like that. But I mean, we were in the at-risk, impoverished area, government assistance and things like that. And honestly, like with that became like my mom was kind of angry, like in our teenage years, because she was like the only person who take care of her kids and trying to work and trying to do this. And even when she probably wanted to be a better mom, it's like, just to get by is already enough for her. So that's how I found my love for writing. Journaling was like a big output for me. And reading, and my escape was always school. Like I would be happy to go to school. Most children want to stay home with me. I'm happy to go to school. So yeah, that was pretty much it for me.
Oh, nice. And I guess, does that translate over now with you happy to learn and continue to like thrive and just expand your skills?
Yeah. A lot of people ask me like, why were you going to be a social worker? And because my brother, he was like, because he wasn't raised with us. I have an older brother who was not raised impoverished. He was raised by his dad. Total different perspectives. And so when I went to college, he was like, why you go to school to be a doctor or something? And I was just like, honestly, I feel like social work chose me because it's something that I didn't think twice about. And to help people, especially I'm passionate about the youth. Because mentorship saved me. If it wasn't for my guidance counselors and mentors, people who came into our communities to show us different, I wouldn't have that perspective, because I wasn't like, bottom of the barrel. My brother was big on, he took me to the nicest places, gave me the finer things in life, and then there was my mentors who came and gave us experiences and take us places. So that is how I am. That's why I reach back. I'm big on mentorship and, just reaching back and upbringing the youth, because they grow up to be adults. And if you're not healed from things that happen in your childhood, you become an adult who is still surviving. So I don't feel like I have a survival mindset anymore. I feel like I am at a place where I'm okay with thriving and I'm comfortable. And that's why I'm able to go at the things that I want.
What do you do now, like, to mentor students or youth, knowing that that's the mindset that they might be coming from?
Well, I volunteer with the Boys and Girls Club. Any chance I get, I'm actually working on my own mentorship program right now. It's really, that's one of the barriers, because I really don't have any guidance, so I'm seeking mentorship too. I have a mentor who's helping me, an adult mentor, who helping me, as far as like documentation and, the business aspect. But I'm working on my own personal mentorship program. But right now, I just volunteer. I read because I'm big on literacy. And I mentor, the youth at the Boys and Girls Club.
Oh, nice.
That's what I do.
That's pretty cool. How often do you stay there?
I go with my schedule. This is a big study Bible. Look how big this is.
Yeah, so that one's thick.
But I go there I can go like 3 times a week.
Okay.
On a good week.
Wow.
Yeah. I enjoy it too. I wish I could
Yeah.
just do it and don't work.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Look, it's a lot, for a lot of people, that's like a lot. They're like, oh, you go there 3 times a week? That's a lot of
It
people say
is
that's
a lot.
Yeah.
Girl, I would not even sit right here. Like, it's probably sound like, oh, that's nice, but it's really a lot, honestly. And I think that people underestimate the thing that service is actually kind of a luxury. You know, especially when you are working and you're making ends meet. Now we have inflation going on, you know, and money is important, you know, but and for anybody to go out their way for you in any type of way and serve in any type of way, it's just, anybody should be grateful for real, because it's a lot. It's hard to do, honestly. It's not as simple as going to the Boys and Girls Club 3 times a week, because I have other obligations such as working and I have a son, you know, but I try my best. Some weeks I miss weeks and I'm like, oh, we want to go to the Boys and Girls Club today, but I have to make sure dinner is cooked. I have to make sure my son is taken care of, you know. So, you good? Okay, we can go. Come on. I think I want this study Bible, though, because I said I wanted one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I need
sit
a
down.
study Bible too.
Sit down.
You want more?
You want juice? Yeah, I don't know who Thomas Nelson is, but I need a good study Bible. But yeah, that's just a little about me. And I can recall when I was younger and stuff, when I graduated from college and trying to when I was trying to serve then, but I needed a job for the summertime.
Yeah.
You know, so I can have my stuff in my next semester. You know, that's the thing about, I was first generation in my family to complete college and also, you know, extend my education to go to graduate school and things like that. When I would come home for the summertime, I would have to work, you know, so I could have my toiletries and everything that I need for my next semester. And I was trying to serve then, but I couldn't even serve because I had to work, you know, and I know that's not I know some of my peers, because who I went to school with, they had the same type of thing going on, but I know that a lot of people who don't come from that background, they don't understand that.
What was it like working through that, knowing that like not everyone would understand?
Honestly, I have been in situations where I don't like to say certain people are privileged, but it is kind of a privilege, but I don't like how people, you know, judge those who did come from areas where they were supported.
Yeah.
You know, but I have been in situations where I remember when I was, I wanted to be in my sorority. I'm in the sorority. And I had to stand up and I was like, they was asking me about myself and I was like, I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. And when they was asking me what part, I'm like, from the inner city, you know, and I was speaking about, you know, my upbringing. And then the next person who came up was like, well, I'm not from the hood, so. And I was just like, okay. Okay. Yeah. And, you know, and I was just like, you know, and when I open my mouth and I tell people, they like, you know, because everyone loves Atlanta. You say I'm from Atlanta, everybody's like, oh, you know. And it's like, well, I'm not from where you go to brunch at, you know. And it's just like, I used to feel judged, you know, like, do it make me look little or small, or does it make me seem like, you know, I'm, you know, underprivileged or something, like, you know. But now it's, you know, I feel like it's my strength. You know, I'm creative. You know, I know how to make nothing out of something. Something out of nothing. Like, I'm happy. Like, I don't feel any type of way about it anymore. I feel like it's my strength. And when I used to feel like, you know, it's my weakness, I kind of crack when I say it. But now I say it with pride. You know, so.
When was?
And I don't like, and when it come down to my son, like even with him, like the things that he's afforded that I wasn't afforded, I'm happy about that I can provide for him, because he don't have to go through that stuff that I used to go through. And that's all a mom could ask for, honestly. Here, you could go, but I'm gonna find you. I got toys. He's probably gonna get a toy that's probably $25.
Okay.
But he could get that. See, my mom would have been like, you would sit your tail down, don't touch nothing in here. See, with me, he don't have to go through that because his mom got a little money. So.
I guess, can you describe, like, where your, I know you said journaling and everything, but how your love of writing kind of, like, progressed and evolved?
So it started out, like I said, with journaling, right? From, like, youth. I just journaled. And so, honestly, my mom, she always tells me this.
Yeah.
When I was 2, she was like, I used to make up stories from, like, shirts. Anything I see, like, graphics, T-shirts, I make up just any type of story. But I didn't, but that was just something she told me when I wrote my book. She was like, you always, were like that, and when I was in elementary, that's the first thing that I said I would ever be an author. I was like, when I grow up, I want to be an author. The first thing I ever said, then it was a singer, then it was a chef.
Yeah.
You know how that goes.
Yeah.
But it was always an author, but I didn't know what would I write about, And as I got older, I didn't care about being an author anymore. But during the pandemic, that's when it just came back to me, like, I'm going to write a book. And I was in therapy, actually, and she said, you should write a book.
Yeah.
And I was like, I should write a book. And then I was like, you know what? Let's see how it will go.
Yeah.
So I started, writing. And then I got writer's block. That story, because the story that I have now, my book wasn't the first thing I was going to write.
Oh, really?
So, let me go get my child for
Oh,
somebody
you're
to
good,
focus on me. But, and so when I did start writing, I started writing again.
Yeah.
And that story, the one that is two-faced, that's the name of my book.
Yes.
It's an Amazon bestseller. It was very healing, Look at him. Let me see your toy. Can I see your toy? Can I see it?
He's in his own world.
Picking up like 5 items. You're only going to get one. But how Two-Faced came about, okay, Mario Kart. Can I see that one? It looks pretty cool. Oh no, you're not getting Cocoa Melon. I'm so over Cocoa Melon.
Cocoa Melon, I heard that show is very
cult.
addictive. Yes.
But he's over it though. He's been off of it since he was 2. But this is like too babyish for him.
Okay.
But I'll put it in the cart to make him believe that he's getting that. But yeah, so I just would journal, and then during the pandemic, I sat down and I was like, got writer's block from the first story, and then I was just like, you know what? Let me just keep writing and see where it leads. And one thing about it, the fact that I didn't ponder on it, and when I finally just writing,
yeah,
it really showed what was in my heart, and things that, no sir, while I was in therapy, you better stop because you're not getting this. Let's get another toy. It showed, like, even because the point where we were in therapy, I hadn't even discussed some of the stuff that I was writing in my book.
Yeah.
That's the stuff that was really on my heart without somebody saying, asking me questions. So it was very healing.
Yeah.
And I felt like what made me publish it was that I was like, somebody needs this. Because I talked about everything from bullying to siblinghood.
Yeah.
People talk about relationships and but they don't talk about siblinghood. Siblinghood is a serious thing. Like the relationship you have with your siblings can determine how you interact with other people, how you feel about your own self-esteem.
Yeah.
So I talked about bullying, siblinghood, education. I talked about family, the relationship between mother and daughter, marriage. I talked about religion. It talks about so much stuff. And not from a clinical aspect, but as a real life, nonfiction aspect. My story is based on a true story. So those were the things that was on my heart, So it felt good to put it out there and to, I talked about colorism too. But,
really?
Yeah, covered a lot of ground, So that really made me feel good, I was like, okay, so this is the story that I was meant to write for my first book.
Yes.
And so, yeah.
It must have been really freeing to finally have that done and it was published.
It was really freeing, and it brought me to my next level. I felt a weight lifted off of me, and I felt more woman. I felt healing from me and my son.
Yeah.
Because that was my childhood. It was more like childhood trauma, but I say it was more about generational curses and generational guidance and generational blessings as well. I just didn't talk about curses, but guidance as well. And so I felt just like ready for my next level, My inner child was happy because it's just like, you said you was going to be an author. Now you're an author.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, girl, I'm proud of you.
Oh, that's amazing. It's full circle. I was going to ask, I guess, how was coming to terms with that transition from that first book you were writing to Two-Phased, to be able to like let go of that first one you were writing to and say this is it? Yeah, tap to the next one.
So I haven't even started. Well, now I'm just now getting into my creative space where I'm about to write. That's why I'm buying this devotional and stuff.
Yeah.
So the thing. So after I wrote Two-Phased, I came across because I love Sarah Jakes Roberts. You know about her?
Oh no.
Sarah Jakes Roberts is the daughter of T.D. Jakes.
Oh, okay.
You know
Oh
T.D.
yes,
Jakes?
I've seen her, but I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I came across her book, Don't Settle for Safe. And so during my author journey, I met a lot of authors, and I was just like, yes, these are my people,
Yeah.
And so I had collected a lot of books because I'm going to support, So I was reading, but I was like, that book was the first one that I had got. That I met her at Women Evolve, but she didn't give me her book like most other artists. I had that book from them. But I purchased that book, and I started reading it. And I didn't finish it, but it felt like the next level. It felt like a transition from that to my womanhood, because that was about my inner child, And so, I healed from that, and I'm not completely healed from my childhood because I do still have father issues. I don't feel like I would ever get over them because I've been to the altar 100 times,
Okay.
But that's just something like the father wound is really serious with me. I have a mother wound too, but I'm really feel like I'm healed from my mother wound because my mother was there, and I would stay the course with my mom, but my father wound is really serious. So with that, when I transitioned to reading Don't Settle for Safe, that spoke to the woman in me. Because I've healed from that, but I have plenty, as you grow, you're going to heal from other things. You're going to heal from relationships. You're going to heal from just financial issues, grown people stuff.
Yeah.
Now I'm trying to figure out how to start a business and more things, and I'm going to take some losses, So you're going to heal from things throughout life, and I understand that. But when I opened that book, it spoke to the woman that I want to be and the woman that I'm becoming, and it just felt so perfect from a transition.
Yeah.
And so I finished it because Two-Phased will be March 17th.
Okay.
So I just now finished that book like 3 weeks ago.
Wow.
Because I had put it down, and because I had I couldn't do anything at one point. It was like everything was a blur. I couldn't even pray right, and so I just say, thank you, Jesus, you know my heart, because I couldn't get the words out, and I couldn't read books, And I was working and trying to take care of him. He opened these people toys.
Uh-oh.
And let me see what you opened up. If this is what you opened up your cards, so that means you can't have this. You can have those though. Mommy will pay for those. And you don't need this. That's super small. He loves cars. By the way. He loves cars. And he has like this Hot Wheels train thing.
Oh, yeah, one of those tracks.
Yes, and so he's probably going to put those on there. But so God reveals, And so it wasn't time for me, I guess, to finish that book. But God, look at him still getting this. No, you're not. It wasn't time for me to finish that book. It came to me at the right time when it was, because then once I picked it up again, I couldn't put it down. I had to finish it because I was like, oh, got to read my book. And it was just spoke to where I was in my life. And the whole, months that I wasn't reading it, it wouldn't have spoke to that right then. That book was just perfect for where I was in my life. That's why I say God reveals in the right time. And so now it's just like, okay, I'm ready to write my next book. Because people were like, can we get a part 2? And what's next? We want to hear about this. And it felt good as an author, because I'm like, people read that book in one day. And so I was like, it must be really good. I'm so grateful, genuinely grateful, because it was very vulnerable when I finished it and decided to publish it. I had an almost anxiety attack, and I was like, I don't want to do it no more. I just keep it to myself, But I finally was like, I'm gonna do it, So to get those reactions was really good, and everybody was just like, give them another one. But I'm like, do you know how much that took out of me?
Yeah. You're like, again?
Right, again, like I have to do it again.
Yeah.
And so once I finished that book, I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna go at it again, and I feel like I'm ready. It's not because anybody told me to. The pressure, I'm at the point now, and we talked about this, when I was talking about survival and thriving. I'm okay with myself. So I don't feel the need for things to be perfect, and I also don't feel the things to be like for people to pressure me to do anything that I don't want to do. So I'm big on timing now. Everything, I trust that God's timing is best.
Yes.
So that's why I'm like, okay, now I can write. Even if I don't finish it for a year or two, I can start, you know.
Yes, exactly.
So, let me see.
Have you ever like mentored anybody and just like what you've gone through and being like owning who they are and
That's what I do. Yeah, that's what I do. When I go to the Boys and Girls Club, because they have people who actually work there.
Yeah.
And they have their curriculum. I'm always like, I get up there and I say, hey, let's do an assignment. Say something that you love about yourself, you know, and stuff like, it don't have nothing to do with what they was talking about that day, but I make sure at the end I put my, 2 cents in, so get them something to think about, as far as just self. Because everything you do, like your job and stuff like that, if you don't feel good about yourself, none of that really matters, you know.
Exactly. Do you consider like your son and your husband like your biggest cheerleaders or what?
His dad is like, he's supportive.
Yeah.
And I look at him like family. He's my family, you know. But my biggest cheerleader is really myself, honestly.
Yeah.
But I do it for my son. My son, I don't think he really realized who I am, you know, and that his mom is really like would do anything, and that, I'm all about success and stuff like that. Because I am. I feel like I'm a successful person.
Yeah.
Regardless, I don't need like trophies or anything. I feel like I'm successful just because I put in the work to do the things that I set out to do, you know.
Yes.
So I don't feel like he really grasped that concept yet, but I'm going to instill, that in him. But he don't know how to cheer for me because he don't understand what I do. He just probably think I work for him.
Okay.
I'm just a servant to him right now.
He don't understand yet.
Yeah, he don't understand yet. But I always will be, though, to a servant to him, though. I do it for him. And I don't think he even knows how much he motivates me. Because, honestly, the drive, I'm not always driven. I'm a big procrastinator girl. My mom is a big cheerleader of mine. So, you know what? It's funny because the relationship that we had when I was younger, it was very interesting. And I have learned through my book, honestly. Because the way that I wrote my book, I just talked about an experience. I didn't want it to be biased. It was more of what I thought when I was younger. But when I was writing the book, I realized that, my mom had other kids, and I was very sensitive, and my mama wasn't raised on, she was raised on survival, so she wasn't raised on love. And she had a daughter like me, and I was very sensitive, and she couldn't, cater to my sensitive needs. And for that, I thought that she hated me or something, or she just didn't, really care for me. But it's just that she didn't know how. So now I realized that when I was writing, because she did, she valued, and she was very happy for me because I was always like succeeding, at things, and it made her feel good as a mom. But because she had so much other things going on, it wasn't just all about me, and sometimes when you're young, you don't get that. Like you asked me about my son, he don't see, what I go through. He don't know what's going on. He's just a kid, you know.
He's existing.
Yeah, he just existed. So he probably think I'm a hero. When you're young, you think your parents are heroes. So, and any mistake that they make, you think that they failed you, and that was like kind of a pressure that I realized that, I may have had when I was younger. But now, as I'm older and as I'm a mom myself, and just as an adult, my mom is my biggest cheerleader. She can just tell me, like I can call her right now. She'll say, "You so pretty. You look so naturally beautiful." Like, and that'll be like, "Oh, I do. That's so nice." And she'll be like, "You just so smart. I just love you. You just a great mom. Things like that." And then she just don't know. Like, I'm like, "Thank you. I needed that." And she's like, "You're really an entrepreneur. You're really like smart. You're a bomb." She say things to me. Sometimes I'm like, I want to be the person that you say I am, but she's like, "You are? What are you talking about?" So my mom is honestly like my biggest cheerleader. Yeah.
That's perfect. So I guess, was there any, forgiveness? Sorry, I almost fell.
Yes.
Was there any type of like forgiveness that had to go? Yeah.
Yes. Forgiveness, like huge, like even forgiving myself, forgiving my dad. I have forgiveness for my dad. It's just that I wish I have to work on even my interaction with men as I'm dating because of my dad. Like friendships, like it's just a lot that I have to work through with that. And I'm learning, for real, I'm much better, like way better. But that's why I say a father wound, but I definitely forgive him, and I forgive my mom. She knows. I tell her all the time. And I forgive myself because I even wrote about my book. I told a lot of things about myself that I did when I was young, We have to forgive ourselves for our mistakes, We're just human, And I forgive other people. It helps me forgive other people, and have compassion for other people.
Again, do you have any advice for someone going through that same thing, forgiveness, or just when you were younger, like?
Yes, just don't be so hard on yourself. When you're young, don't be so hard on yourself. about your looks and things like that. You know, you can take time on yourself more than you take time on other people. If you don't like your looks, do your hair more. You know, you can work out. Other things that you do, you know, when you get older, like we big on self-care. We go to the gym, we work out. You know, now we have YouTube, you know, and we have TikTok even. You can go in there, it's a search engine. You know, work on yourself, the things that you don't like. Don't compare yourself to others and don't beat yourself up. You know, don't harm yourself. Because I have worked with youth in so many arenas. I've worked with, it's going to be a trigger warning, but I have worked with youth who self-harm. Okay. You know, and most of the time it's because they don't know how to identify their pain. You know, whether that is physical, mental, you know, they don't know, so they inflict more pain, and especially if they've been violated in any type of way. So it's just like, you know, love yourself and create boundaries for yourself. Don't do anything that you don't want to do, and speak up for yourself. Even if your voice trembles, speak up for yourself, because a lot of times when I was young, I told you in my book, I talked about bullying. A lot of times I would laugh off things that really hurt me or harm me, and I should have spoken up for myself, you know. And so that's my advice always, to love yourself. And we say that we love ourselves, but then we get into relationships and things where we love the person more because we're compromising our boundaries. If you know something don't feel right in your nervous system, you feel like something is off about something, it is. And if you feel like you want to say no, if it even is any doubt in your mind when you're doing something, then it's a no. You know, it's like that, you know. So that's my advice that I would give to somebody. It doesn't matter who looks like what's the trend, everybody's doing. You know, own your individuality. That's everything. Originality and authenticity is everything. That's what sets you apart. You don't have to follow trends. If you don't blend in, just stand out. You know, that's really my advice, honestly.
Love that. Love that. Thank you.
You're
No, I'm inspired. I'm like, let me go home and journal, actually. I've been so terrible at it lately.
What, journaling? It comes to a point, you know, we can't be on top of our journey every day, because I'm big on self-care, but sometimes I do neglect myself. And I would sit in my room and be a mess. And I'd be like, I'm going to get this stuff up. I'm going to get myself together, you know. But that's why I'm big on self-care. Like, honestly, like I give so much to a job, you know, relationships, you know, it's so much to balance in life. And that's how too much of anything is just too much. You got to have a balance. So that's why I pour into myself. I pour into myself for my inner child. I pour into myself for my son. You know, I pour into myself for my friends. Because I want to be nice to my friends. I want to be a good mom. Those are actually cool too, Jordan. I would buy those for you if they're not like $25 a piece. But that's why I'm big on self-care, you know, because it just determines how I treat everything around me. You know, I'm big on, now I'm doing more of my passions. I'm writing my books, I'm doing my podcast, and it just makes you know more about yourself. It's important for you to know about yourself more than you know about any other person. You know, that's really why I'm big on self-care, honestly, just to know more about myself and to maneuver throughout my life, honestly.
That's awesome. What do you do, I guess, to prepare, if you do, I guess, prepare for those, you said those low moments whenever you're feeling like, I need to take a break, or I'm not feeling this right now, or I guess just like when you're feeling low, at your lowest points, I guess.
At my lowest points, I'm a crier. I'm gonna be real with you. If I could cry about it, I would do it. Like, I hate when I have moments when my heart feel heavy, you know, and I have to cry. I'm like, oh, I have to cry. Because for some reason, when I cry, I wake up and I feel like I'm just the baddest in the world.
Yeah.
So I be like, oh, I'm good now. And I talk to myself. Like, I hate to say it, but I be talking to myself. And I be like, and I try not to go over something too much. Because sometimes you don't have nobody to say, listen, shut up, I don't want to hear it no more. So, or you don't have nobody who give you right feedback that's a different opinion. So you will go over something 100 times, like, man, I can't believe that. Or this is what's going on, you know, it's that self-talk.
Yeah.
So I try to go back to that positive self-talk, be like, this is just a bad day.
Yeah.
No, this not the rest of my life. I start taking things a day by day. Write it down. This is what I'm doing Sunday. This is what I'm doing today. And Monday, this is what I'm doing Monday. You know what I'm saying? Because trying to take it all, let's say if you already had a long day, you find out some bad news, and then you start thinking about, well, oh, today was like this, and then tomorrow, then next week, you know, you start thinking about the whole bigger picture. It will make your brain blow, you know. So when I feel like it's too much going on, I sit down, I take my time, I be like, you know what, I just can't only deal with what I can deal with today. And if the world, like, if the sky fall, like, tomorrow, then I guess the sky just gonna fall tomorrow, because today is all I can deal with today.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, that's what I do. And I go to sleep.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
I'm
As you
good
should.
on going to sleep. Like, I would go to sleep, and the world would be on fire, I'd be sleeping through it, because I'm about to go to take a nap.
Oh, yeah, period. Yeah. It kind of reminds me of, I want to get this in a tattoo one day, but it's like, what's that verse? It was like, do not worry about tomorrow, worry about itself. Yeah, I'm trying to get that somewhere.
Yes, girl.
I just, come to the person who likes to worry about the future, worry about where I'm going, and then, like, be super on myself.
You will miss so much doing that. You will miss valuable moments doing that. Yeah. In 2016, when I graduated college, my brother gave me $500 for a graduation gift. And I had that money, but it just blew so quick, So that summer, I didn't have no money for real. I tried to work at Burlington before grad school, but I just wasn't making enough, and I was so broke. But that was the funnest summer of my life.
Wow.
And then that summer, it just, like, it confirmed, like, my relationship with God again, because it's not the first time, but when I really saw that God, it's not me, that I knew God was real, because a lot of people don't believe in God no more. But I believed it because, of course, from when my transition in high school to going to college and stuff, if you know what I went through before high school, girl, I was like, I know God is real, because like the stuff that I would have been doing and the stuff that God really changed my direction, and he put me, the rooms that he put me in, the spaces that he put me in, because I ain't put myself there. I know I did. I know God had to see something in me to deserve that, because I was just like the people who didn't make it, again, because I was worried. I was like getting discouraged. I was like, I'm not going to have no money when I go to grad school, and here I am going to another city, because I was in Atlanta. I went to school in Talladega, Alabama, and then I was going to go to Huntsville, Alabama. Here. And so I was like, here I am in another city. I don't have no money. I don't want to go there, with no money and stuff. And I was like, here I am again with this. But, everybody everywhere was taking care of me. Like, you want to go here? I'm like, I don't got no money. Well, I got it, And I was like, you don't got to have it. No, I got it. Like, everywhere I went, somebody was paying for me, and nobody ever threw it in my face. Wow. It was just so much fun, and I was just having the time of my life. And when it was time for me to go to grad school, I got my checks. Like, my last checks was just enough for me to have everything that I needed. Wow. And then I was like, you never should worry about the future. I'm worried. I could have spent that whole summer, like, worried about me not making it to grad school, and grad school hadn't came yet. I know that grad school was 3 months ahead, but it's that 3 months hasn't came yet. You never know what God will do. Yeah. So just because I know that I have grad school in 3 months, it said it on paper, you don't know God's timing, what he may have for you in those 3 months. You may know that this job don't pay you that much, but you still never know what God have for you. And that really taught me that. Like, I was going to make sure I get there and have everything I need the whole time, And I was thinking, I'm glad I had fun. A win is a win. I was like, I'm glad I had fun, because I would have been sitting in a room I know how I am. I would have been in there like, I don't want to go because I have so much going on right now. Like, so look at him. He living.
Oh, wow. He's a whole community down there.
Yeah, I'm glad he's distracted, because I'm not getting this.
Uh-oh.
But,
Uh-oh.
Oh, my God. You don't get nothing past him. That baby's so smart. He's like, yeah, put my stuff back.
He's like, gotcha.
But, yeah, like, that's the type of stuff, like, that, keeps me motivated. I always think about my hard times. Yeah. When I'm feeling like I'm having another hard time, I'm like, remember the last time? That was just temporary. I know this was temporary, too. Yeah. Trouble never lasts. Trouble doesn't last always, so. So my podcast, I don't remember. I think I started my podcast 2022. I know that. But remember I was talking about perfection and things like that, right? So I'm just really proud of my confidence, because once I wrote Two-Faced, it just awakened something else in me, because once I created something, I was like, okay, I'm going to create something else. I want to do the podcast more and just, get owning my voice again, because it came to a point where I was isolated, and it came from just I just been in places where I didn't feel like I belonged for real, like around people who was set on misunderstanding me. So the person that I was, that I know I am, I'm very outspoken and open, but being in the wrong spaces kind of made me be more observant and quiet. Yeah. And then the isolation and the pandemic, it just made me just quiet. Like I was just like, no. So after I did the book, I was just wanting to, exercise my voice more. But now everybody is just very vocal on. Everybody is very vocal on social media. Like you see a lot of people doing motivational speaking, but that's not my space. Like I don't feel comfortable all the time doing it there. So I created my podcast. Now I had been researching for months and like talking myself out of it for months because I wanted it to be perfect. Every time I seen somebody say, get this, get that, I'm trying to get it and stuff. And so finally I was like, I'm just gonna go for it. If it's not perfect, then I can grow from it. And so one day I just did it, and I think I started, it was Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, and then it was also Pride Month, so it had to be in June. And so I did my first ones on Men's Mental Health Month and Pride Month, 2 different episodes, but Men's Mental Health Month and Pride, because they say a man's pride is everything. So that's how I put my creative spin to it, because I asked men, what did their pride mean to them, and what is a man's pride? What does it mean when they say that? Like, a man's pride is everything. And then I had a segment about LGBT community, plus Pride Month. So then it just went from there, and it's called the C.O.P.E. Podcast. Because it's all about self-care, but it's more so about coping skills, and I ask for real things. It's interview style. It's very rare that you'll see me get on there and talk. Some people, they just talk on their podcast. If I feel compelled to, though, I'll talk on there and say something inspiring, but most of the time it's interview style, really conversational, more so than interview. Conversational about real life things. I had one about motherhood. I'm trying to think whatever. I had one about teachers' appreciation too. I was talking to some educators and too, because I'm big on like observances. Like it's Mental Health Awareness Month now. Yeah. It's also Social Work Appreciation Month. So.
So it's social work or social?
Social worker appreciation. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. So so that's what. Oh Jesus, he's gonna have to get that toy. Okay. So that's my next one I'm trying to do post-grad, something about postgraduate blues, to talk about, just coping through transitions through, whether it's graduating high school, the different transitions when you graduate, not landing that job or landing that job, opportunities, mentorship, just different things, like you're going through something, that's something that I'm about to talk about. More so about coping through it, for real.
Okay. I love that.
Thank you. And
definitely needed. Go ahead. Sorry.
C.O.P.E. stands for communication, opportunity, perspective, and expression. So it's an acronym.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
How'd you come up with that?
Girl, it just be coming to my brain. That's how I know I feel like it's led by God, because I don't think of this stuff. Like, I think of it, but it really just comes to me. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I should have brought my book in here too, because my book is in my trunk. Should have brought a book in here. But and I have a self-care clothing line too, a t-shirt line.
Yeah.
And
what's that called?
It's the C.O.P.E. clothing line. Like it's just nice. Yeah. But that's how my podcast came about.
Yeah, that's really cool. So you got a lot of stuff going on.
Yes, I do have a lot of stuff going on. But and I try to juggle it. Being a mom is not so easy.
Yeah.
Oh no! Wow.
How do you balance yourself usually?
Really, like I said, a day at a time. And if I can't get to it, like if I want to do a podcast episode and I can't get to it, I just don't. But I hate when I can't get to it, because if I feel it, sometimes like I feel it in my bones.
I get you.
I want this done. This is the perfect time. It's fresh on my mind. And I make accommodations, and I always pray about it.
Yes, of course.
I always got to pray about it. Come on. Let's go pay for this. Let's go pay for it. With your money. Like, it doesn't matter what you're surviving from.
Yeah.
It just creates an idea of perfection when it comes down to executing something, right? Yeah. And so I knew that I was growing and I was maturing when I started to execute things, even when it wasn't perfect. Yeah. So I was like, I'm grateful for that. That's how I knew that changes was happening, when I decided to just take my foot off the brakes and just press the gas. And I was like, you know what? It don't even matter if this is not perfect, if I feel like this is something of substance and it can help somebody, I'm going to do it. And just to hear that people listen to my podcast, because people listen to it, I can see it. I mean, it's not thousands of people,
Yeah.
but people listen to it, and I'm like, yay, people listen to my podcast.
Yeah, it's impacting people.
Yeah, so
That's awesome. Especially awesome. How, can you describe how you were feeling? People were telling you their testimonials, saying like your podcast changed me, or it inspired me. Even your books, like, describe that feeling.
Yes, especially my book.
Yeah.
Now, I only got one review on my podcast. Somebody said it's good content, like it's really good content. But my book, when people were saying like this really helped me, and when an adult like told me this, one of my friends' mother, my friend's mom, I was going over her house, and my friend had actually bought 4 of my books. Like that's good, that's support, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
She's talking about one for my sister, my mom. I have 2 for myself.
We love to see it.
So I was going over her house. We was gonna go to our alma mater's homecoming. We was going back, you know, to homecoming. And her mom was like, "Is that your Arthur friend?"
Yeah.
Oh my God, I need her to sign my book. She was like, "I love your book, girl." She was like, "It resonated with me. Like, it made me nostalgic about my past and stuff." She was like, "That's a real good book." And I was just like, "What?"
Man.
And like this lady is like way older than me. She's like my mom's age. And like for her to say, you know, the book resonated with her, you know, and she just really wanted my autograph. You know, somebody be like, "Let me get your autograph." He's just like,
yeah.
My autograph.
So, you're like, me? Like, okay, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, she was like, "Sign my book." So I was like, "Okay."
Yeah.
And then I was like, "Oh my God, that feels so good." And people was like, now, because really I want to live like the old Arthur life, like back in the day where like you get them your P.O. box, they write you letters and stuff. But you know, now we're in a social media world, so they're gonna look you up. Like, and people were in my inbox who I don't know, like, "Hey, I just wanted to say, you know, oh my God, everything you talk about in the book, you know, I really can resonate with this. Like, this remind me of this." And I was like, "Let me go on that page. Who is this?"
Is that like, hello? Yeah.
But I was just like, oh my God, but it really gave me like crippling anxiety for real.
Oh yeah.
Like real bad. Like I was like, oh, all those message requests and stuff. And I'm just like, oh, people talking to me about this book.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, but at the same time, you know, I was like, you know, this is what it's for. It's touching people, you know, people feel seen.
Yes.
You know, because, you know, honestly, you know, we're going through a time where a lot of people are taking their life, you know, that's a trigger warning, but it's real, you know, people, you know, those thoughts, like suicidal thoughts are, you know, normal, honestly, to feel like hopelessness and things like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's a normal thing to feel, but, you know, it becomes real when it's an act and you have a plan, right? So anytime that a person can feel seen and understand that you're not alone in something, it just takes the weight off you, like, okay, it's not just me, you know, because sometimes you feel like your struggle is just inclusive to you, like this is just something, oh my God, especially now when you're on social media, everybody posts the beautiful moments of their life, so you're feeling like, you know, I'm alone, like what is it about me that makes me go through this? So when I tell my story, you know, it's really for the youth, you know, like I said, like, because it was for my younger self, like, you know, it was in retrospect, but, you know, a lot of people who need to heal that side of them, you know, needed to see that, you know, and nobody, the things I talk about, people were like, is it real? Even though it's nonfiction, but they're like, is it real though? I'm like, yeah, this is real. You talking about yourself. And I'm just like, you know, it's based on a true story. It is real, and the main character is me. You know, I tell people openly, because at first I was going to lie.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to tell them that it was just like a, you know, a nonfiction, you know, it was a book I just wrote about. But I was telling people, yeah, it's me, because they would never think that I wanted them to see. I don't look like what I've been through. Like, you could be successful, you know, you can find a place that you can feel a place of peace about yourself. You can come to that point where you're thriving, you're not surviving anymore. Yeah. You know, you can live that life with ease in the name of self-care. Because I'm big on that. And prayer, you know, because people don't want to pray no more. But I feel like prayer is not even just a thing about Christianity. You know, most religions, we have that in common, prayer, you know. So nothing is wrong with praying, you know, and prayer does change things, you know, and it's nothing wrong with taking care of yourself. I grew up when my mom used to say, it's not all about you all the time. And I used to be like, it's never about me. Like, what are you talking about? Only reason why it's about me because I make it about me. I make it about me. If I don't make it about me, nobody's going to make it about me. And that's how I feel like everybody should feel. If you don't make it about you, nobody is going to make it about you. Make it about you. Do what you have to do for yourself, you know, get to know yourself so that you can place boundaries. Anything that look like what you don't believe in, anything that look like something that you're not into, is not for you. You know what you like, you know what you're into. Exactly. You know how to take care of yourself, you know.
Oh, this is amazing. I'm loving this. This is content. I'm just like soaking it up. I'm so glad I'm recording it so we watch it. Oh, this is amazing.
So here is a picture of my book. Well, here's my book in real time. It's called Two-Phased. And look at the artwork, y'all. Get it for the artwork.
Exactly.
But let me see. It's like it's 110 pages if I'm not mistaken. Well, it's 128 pages.
Okay.
And yeah.
That's awesome.
It's good to feel any aspiring authors out there. I say push your pen, honey. Go for it. You know, it's the market for you. There's somebody out there who's dying to hear your story. You know, you never know who can relate to it, who it can inspire, who it can heal. Write that story. Hey, my name is Daphne Jackson, author Daphne Jackson, and this is the Apprentice Podcast. Thank you, Brittany.